Hello, and welcome to the Poetry Podcast, the place where tiny poems make a big buzz. My name is Patricia, and today you and I will be creeping, crawling, and occasionally flying our way through haiku, senryu, and other short forms, written in response to Liam Maguire's wonderfully creepy crawly presentation. Now, don't panic. You won't need insect repellent, though you might want a biscuit to steady your nerves. Personally, I got on the scales at the weekend, and biscuits are a thing of the past, at least till those extra few pounds disappear. Anyway, we've got beetles and butterflies, ants and dragonflies, and lots of spiders weaving their way through the verses today. It's amazing how these little creatures can scuttle into our poems and leave such a lasting impression. I'll be joined by judges Clive Grewcock, Melissa Dennison, and Liam himself to share their nominations for the judges' choice. Will you agree with them? Or will you be muttering at your headphones that we've got it all wrong? Either way, I'm sure it's going to be a fun journey. Just a couple of things before we scuttle off to the poetry. I'm not reading all the accepted poems today. There will be more for you in the next Poetry Pea Journal, out imminently. If you're on the mailing list, you will of course be alerted with an early bird discount, and those of you with ISA and Busan memberships will automatically have the journal fall into your inboxes as part of your package. Now, this time I'm trying an experiment. As you listen, you'll hear that I've divided the poems into haiku, senryu, and one-line poems. And for the purposes of today, I've defined the senryu as a poem where the main thrust is human life. I will be working to improve that definition over the coming months. Keep an ear out. But as I do that, I'd be really interested to know if you agree with my thoughts, how you'd have done it differently, how you define senryu. So don't be shy, do tell me. I also wanted to let you know that all the poems are read anonymously by the editing team. Then they're sent anonymously to the judging team. Only when choices have been made do judges find out who the poets are. Right, hopefully that's okay with everyone. So, settle in, sip your cuppa, turn the car radio up, or wander around the neighbourhood spying on the wildlife. And let's get buzzing with some poetry. First nomination of the podcast comes from a voice new to Poetry Pea, although we do know his poetry, Clive Grewcock. And if you remember, I read his poem last week to close out the podcast and calm me down after my rant about the Haiku Society of America. And you know, as he was here, I thought it might be a treat to hear him read it for you this week. Because he's here after all. Welcome, Clive. What do you think? I know I've sprung this on you, but can you read your poem to us?
I would absolutely be delighted to do that. Thank you. Leaving the fast lane. Slippers, cardigan, teapot. Smelling the roses. Leaving the fast lane. Slippers, cardigan, teapot. Smelling the roses.
There we go. Okay, so now we're all calm and relaxed and we're out in the garden with the creepy crawlies. Tell us, Clive, which poem did you choose and why?
The poem I chose is by Nina Singh, and it starts Dusty Windowsill. Dusty windowsill, a beetle trails through summer's end. Dusty windowsill, a beetle trails through summer's end. Nina Singh shows us that nature, and particularly small creatures, are very much a part of our lives, and she captures the essence of haiku. There is technique that creates a whole landscape of life without dipping into hyperbolic language. The scene is set on a neglected windowsill, and the hyphen at the end of the first line prepares for a beetle to wander in. For me, this is a point to which attention is drawn back to, and what is seen can be reconsidered. We see that the windowsill is the landscape through which the beetle is surviving a dry summer. I hesitate to call this beetle a creepy crawly, despite the title of the topic, because of the importance of its world. Nina Singh has a considered use of language, and this doesn't settle lightly in her haiku. Her break at the end of the second line, after through, introduces the beetle from different perspectives and encourages a reread. Perspectives of a beetle meandering through the dust at the end of summer. A beetle trails through summer's end. Or a beetle walks across the windowsill, which heralds the end of summer. Or, indeed, summer's end has arrived, and a beetle has left its trail in the dust. I will quickly add that this enjambment or line end highlights the strength of this haiku. These points of view keep one within the narrow horizon of the windowsill, where nothing matters other than observing a beetle. A scene of dust and summer and a beetle making its way from one season into the next. In a way, the beetle delivers the kigo of the end of summer and change of season. I particularly like the choice of word trails and the way it captures so much of what is central to this moment in the beetle's life, without adding anthropomorphic qualities. The implication of a journey, passage of time, and leaving a mark, as well as being a word central within these three lines. Nina Singh has achieved so much and has clearly brought delight from this little creature.
Cheers, Clive. I just wanted to add a thought about the kigo. So often as haiku poets, we fret about it, that seasonal word. But in this poem, Nina slips it in there at the end without any drama. But I think it really adds to the feeling of the poem. The poem, which begins with "the dusty window," is completed with the phrase "summer's end." The language just seems so appropriate throughout. So thank you very much, Clive, for bringing that to us.
Not at all. Thank you very much. It was a delight to read. Thank you.
Okay, just imagine I'm out in the garden waiting for the first frosts so that I can harvest my rose hips and make some syrup. And while I'm doing that, I shall read you some poetry. First frost. A ghost moth's wings etched on lantern glass. First frost. A ghost moth's wings etched on lantern glass. Adele Evershed. What it took to bring these painted ladies, blue cornflowers. What it took to bring these painted ladies, blue cornflowers. Anthony Lusardi. I have never been successful at my attempts at growing cornflowers. I've tried buying them, they die. I've tried growing them from seed, still no success. So Anthony, you need to tell me, how do you do it? A butterfly beats me to it. First zinnia. A butterfly beats me to it. First, zinnia. Brian Rickett. Another flower I can't grow in my garden. In the graveyard, a white butterfly in the thrush's beak. In the graveyard, a white butterfly in the thrush's beak. Joachim Kjorsvik. A cabbage white lands on a clump of daisies and disappears. A cabbage white lands on a clump of daisies and disappears. Johnny Moran. Lustprinzip. A yellow sulphur's proboscis probes a pink dahlia. Lustprinzip. A yellow sulphur's proboscis probes a pink dahlia. Joshua St. Clair. Love the rhythm in that one. Creekside. A swallowtail resting on the camera lens. Creekside. A swallowtail resting on the camera lens. Rowan Beckett Minor. Orange tip butterfly. A little bit of heat in the day. Orange tip butterfly. A little bit of heat in the day. Tony Williams. Early evening. A lone butterfly close to her hairpin. Early evening. A lone butterfly close to her hairpin. Pravat Kumar Padi. A little smaller than these dragonflies. Distant eagles. Ravi Kiran. And perhaps we can contemplate his use of perspective as I read it again. A little smaller than these dragonflies. Distant eagles. Ravi Kiran. Scraps of old lace on the porch screen. A 12-spotted skimmer. Scraps of old lace on the porch screen. A 12-spotted skimmer. Wilda Morris. Cloudless day. The dragonfly and I share a still pond. Cloudless day. The dragonfly and I share a still pond. Bona M. Santos. And if you've been listening recently to my Tanka podcasts, you'll hear me talk about appropriateness of language. I think Bona has achieved that with this poem. But I did wonder, is it haiku or is it senryu? I'm still really on the fence. On the one hand, it could be from the haiku as a nature poem school of thought. On another, I wondered about the relationship between the human and the dragonfly. Does that relationship push the poem over to being a senryu? I felt it was haiku. What do you think? Bad haircut. The mower steers clear of bee clover. Bad haircut. The mower steers clear of bee clover. Steve Barr. The length of a summer afternoon, a bumblebee's buzz. the length of a summer afternoon, a bumblebee's buzz. Mona Beddy. Floral bunting, the honeybee uninvited. Floral bunting, the honeybee uninvited. Celia Jenkins. On our beach, under a striped umbrella, 4,000 bees. On our beach, under a striped umbrella, 4,000 bees. Fokina MacDonald. Hovering drones, a pair of wasps on patrol. Hovering drones, a pair of wasps on patrol. Rohan Butel. Paper-thin walls, the fragile traces of last year's wasps. Paper-thin walls, the fragile traces of last year's wasps. Lisa Biller. A wasp in the glass of wine, one for the road. A wasp in the glass of wine, one for the road. Natalia Kuznetsova. Hottest day, a paper wasp hovers over the bird bath. Hottest day, a paper wasp hovers over the bird bath. Krista Pandy. Garden tour, a wasp guiding. Garden tour, a wasp guiding. Govind Joshi. I wonder, has Govind been watching someone like my daughter, for example, being chased round the garden by a wasp? High wire act, a grasshopper's performance falls short. High wire act, a grasshopper's performance falls short. Christine Wenk Harrison. The spitting image of their mother. Spiderlings. The spitting image of their mother. Spiderlings. Ben Oliver. Dawn, breaking the tethers of orb weavers. Dawn, breaking the tethers of orb weavers. Sarah Winteridge. Autumn equinox, daddy longlegs shadows crisscross our tent. Autumn equinox, daddy longlegs shadows crisscross our tent. Janice Doppler. Autumn sunrise, a zillion spiderwebs catch the light. Autumn sunrise, a zillion spiderwebs catch the light. Corinne Timmer. After the big blow, mending the net, orb weaver. After the big blow, mending the net, orb weaver. K. Schwartz. The old kitchen, just how we left it. House spider. The old kitchen, just how we left it. House spider. Laurie Kiefer. From the angel's ear to the angel's stone shoulder, a rain-blown web. From the angel's ear to the angel's stone shoulder, a rain-blown web. Joshua Gage. Curled fig leaf, a pale green spider stitches edge to edge. Curled fig leaf, a pale green spider stitches edge to edge. Clodagh O'Connor. Now here's a question for some of you gardeners out there. I have a fig tree, a little one. It's got some green fruit on it. It's nearly autumn. Do I leave the fruit on it because that's the fruit for next year? Or what do I do? I've no idea. Help, please. Back in the garden, pouring a spider from the spout. Back in the garden, pouring a spider from the spout. Helen Ogden. Between bricks, a spider's legs test the breeze. Between bricks, a spider's legs test the breeze. C.X. Turner. After dessert, the thief ant sneaks onto my plate. After dessert, the thief ant sneaks onto my plate. Matthew Coretti. Blades of grass between my toes, fire ants biting. Blades of grass between my toes, fire ants biting. Violet Avery Hall. Frontier Scout, a solitary ant crosses the counter. Frontier Scout, a solitary ant crosses the counter. Cynthia Anderson. There are many poems about petals, smells, people, crossing borders, but how refreshing to have this little one. The ant scouting out its territory. Although, if I saw it on one of my counters, I'd be panicking that he had a nest heading over the ridge, like you see in the war films. I do not like to see ants in the house. Okay, time for me to have a nice sip of my cuppa while you listen to the second nomination, this time from Melissa Dennison. Our next nomination comes from a poet that we know very well on the podcast, Melissa Dennison. You might also know her from her work over at the Haiku Foundation on Revirals, where she works with a small team of poets to curate a weekly commentary of one particular poem. If you haven't checked out this feature of the Haiku Foundation, please do. But be warned, it can sometimes be controversial, but always in a kindly way. Melissa, hello.
Yes.
How's things?
Oh, excellent.
Good.
Happy to be here.
Wonderful. I've not looked at revirals yet, but you can expect a little email when I have. Okay, so tell us, what's your nomination this time and why did you choose it?
My nomination is Under the Weight of Things, Woodlice. Under the Weight of Things, Woodlice by Florence Hayhoe. And my reasons for this is that the haiku makes me smile. One reason for this is that whenever I look under my garden pots, I tend to find woodlice. They're just everywhere. So they're familiar garden friends to me, and to be honest, unsung heroes. As detritivores, they play an important role in our ecosystems. So what first attracted me to this haiku was this creepy crawly, as I haven't come across any haiku before which feature woodlice. So it was interesting, it was unusual. However, this haiku by Florence Hayhoe is interesting on other levels. Firstly, the weight of things. This can refer to emotional weight or the burdens that we carry in life, whether that be due to stress or hardship, the pressures of meeting other people's expectations, juggling work and family life, etc. These things spring to mind. So we can all feel under the weight of things at times. I don't think this is uncommon. It's easy to feel overwhelmed or like there's an oppressive force bearing down on us. So what's very different about this haiku, though, is that there's a surprise, another layer of meaning. Thinking about what Liam had to say about what this experience would be like for being a woodlouse, I imagine that the weight of things feels light, buoyant. For woodlice, which need damp, dark, shady places, under the weight of things becomes liberating, as this is a place of security, where they're safe from drying out and safe from predation. So under the weight of things then is the polar opposite for woodlice of what it is for humans. They even behave differently apparently. For instance, in bright dry environments, woodlice speed up, only slowing down once they are ensconced under a new physical object. It's almost as if they are exhaling, with relief. It's fair to say that this is their happy place. So finally, Florence has offered us a poem that is both observant and novel, and which enables us to see the world with new eyes, offering new perspectives and understandings. To me, that makes it worthy of the judge's choice.
Thank you, Melissa. You summed up exactly how I felt when I read this poem. And thank you, too, for a new word. Now, how did you pronounce it? Okay, Melissa.
Detritivore.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, they like to eat all the old, things like dead leaves and such. Yeah,
Oh,
plant
no,
matter.
disgusting. I would definitely feel cheated if at some point during the putting together of a journal I didn't learn a new word. So thank you very much. I might not be able to pronounce it, but I at least can spell it. Well, more or less.
Pleasure.
Now, as folks know, if you're judging the poems for a topic, you can't be included in the running for a judge's choice. But you can read it out to us. So I hope, Melissa, that you'll read out your poem and that will make up a little bit for not being in the running for the choice.
It certainly will, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. A fly searches through every room, no escape. A fly searches through every room, no escape.
That's great. And of course, that is by our very own Melissa Dennison. And Melissa, when I read that poem, I think I was inundated with flies. Don't know what it is about them. They arrive about lunchtime and then, like you say, they just whiz from room to room and they really get on my nerves. So your poem really hit home with me. Thank you very much. Well, I'm a little bit refreshed now. Had a lovely cup of tea. And I'm ready to bring you more poetry. Tic-tac-toe, a maggot completes the diagonal. Tic-tac-toe, a maggot completes the diagonal. Richard L. Matter. Deerfly buzzes round my head, doom scrolling. Deerfly buzzes round my head, doom scrolling. Rebecca Upjohn. Supernova, lost among the glow of fireflies. Supernova lost among the glow of fireflies. Zachary May. Campsite, the rising embers of fireflies. Campsite, The rising embers of fireflies. Padma Rajeswari Tata. Fireflies turning a hollow tree into a lantern. Fireflies turning a hollow tree into a lantern. Sarah Mahina Cavello. Boxing Day. On Christmas scraps, blowflies feast. Boxing Day. On Christmas scraps, blowflies feast. Rob McKinnon. Road trip. Mayflies spread eagle a ride. Road trip. Mayflies spread eagle a ride. Sangeeta Kalarakar. Slow clap. The fruit fly that got away. Slow clap. The fruit fly that got away. David Cox. Do you remember David's poem from the video prompt last week? Well, if not, go back and have a listen. I think David has written a host of poems on the fruit fly. I wonder if we'll see more of them. Speaking of which, tea ceremony. A fruit fly hovers over my omogashi. Tea ceremony. A fruit fly hovers over my omogashi. Janavi Gogoi. Apparently, there are two types of sweet used in a tea ceremony. Haigashi, which are dry, and omogashi, which are moist. You probably knew that, but I didn't. At least not till Janavi wrote this poem for us, and I went to Google. Afternoon flight. A ladybird leaves the bug hotel. Afternoon flight. A ladybird leaves the bug hotel. Katie Montagna. Katie's very lucky that anything enters, let alone leaves her bug hotel. I've had one for a couple of years. I swear there's nothing in it. Ladybugs, winter in my bedroom, travelling south. Ladybugs, winter in my bedroom, travelling south. Andrea Cisco. Harvest moon, a festival of crickets in the garden. Harvest moon, a festival of crickets in the garden. Jill Mura. Long walk home. First one, then another. Cicada. Long walk home. First one, then another. Cicada. Kathleen Tice. Our garden. The worms and I work the earth. Our garden. The worms and I work the earth. Pat Davis. The reach exceeding its grasp. Inchworm. The reach exceeding its grasp. Inchworm. Laurie Becherer. Termites path in the cherry wood. Crescent moon. Termite's path in the cherrywood, crescent moon. Megan Buzzard. Underfoot, a hidden kingdom working tirelessly. Underfoot, a hidden kingdom working tirelessly. Nitu Yumnam. Nito, I took that poem into the garden with me the other day, and everywhere I stepped, I couldn't help thinking about that hidden kingdom. Holy morning, a praying mantis wears pink dust. Holy morning, a praying mantis wears pink dust. Nalini Shetty. Wrigglers in the water trough, my future tormentors. Wrigglers in the water trough, my future tormentors. Paul Callis. Black beetles moving so slow, I miss them. Black beetles moving so slow, I miss them. Scott Wiggerman. Small-scale safari, spotting a leopard slug snack on a snail. Small-scale safari, spotting a leopard slug snack on a snail. Tracy Davidson. Another one I'm on the fence about. Should it be a senryu because of its humour? Or should it be in there in the haiku nature section? Oh, going with haiku. Turning on the light, gleaming silverfish, dash for the dark. Turning on the light, gleaming silverfish, dash for the dark. Vanessa Hope. So those were the poems that I deemed to be haiku, like I said, whether of the seasonal school or the nature is haiku school. Now I'm going to bring you senryu, defined, remember, as poems whose main thrust is human life. Bare-legged on the anthill, new girl. Bare-legged on the anthill, new girl. Alison Douglas Turner. I embroider my moth-eaten jumper. Wabi Sabi. I embroider my moth-eaten jumper. Wabi Sabi. Jenny Shepherd. Butterfly season. Migrant workers back in town. Butterfly season. Migrant workers back in town. Anne Fox. Butterfly wings. My stress dissolves into many colours. Butterfly wings. My stress dissolves into many colours. Ava Drobner. Lizard in room. My son and I concur on a combo scream. Lizard in room. My son and I concur on a combo scream. Ulins. Flitting through my ancestors' stories. Blue dragonfly. Flitting through my ancestors' stories. Blue dragonfly. Jan Stretch. Bamboo leaf brush strokes. I give this snail a shade. Bamboo leaf brush strokes. I give this snail a shade. Maya Daneva. Watching dinner slowly slide away. Escargot. Watching dinner slowly slide away. Escargot. Linda L. Ludwig. Inadvertently slapping a mosquito. My vegan sensibility. Inadvertently slapping a mosquito. My vegan sensibility. Madhuri Pillai. Spider mind, calculating pi as I weave. Spider mind, calculating pi as I weave. Richard Tice. Pretty impressive, eh? Sunday school lesson. The water glider walks across the pool. Sunday school lesson. The water glider walks across the pool. Kimberly Kuchar. And now a couple of short form poems before we hear the final nomination. As I said before, there are more poems in the journal, so do go and have a look. Sunrise and sunset, lost in no-see-ums. Sunrise and sunset, lost in no-see-ums. Iavonka Ettinger. An aphid lands the chance of a new life. An aphid lands the chance of a new life. Mark Gilbert. So now our final nomination, and Liam's back to let us know which poem tickled his fancy and why.
Tideline, the rush and retreat of beach flies. Tideline, the rush and retreat of beach flies. Amy Watson. At a mere 8 words and 10 syllables, Amy's haiku achieves beautiful balance through frugal economy. In this sense, it feels like Amy fit the structure to the moment, not the moment to the structure, achieving through a 2-5-3 structure what would be impossible through 5-7-5. Whether this haiku contains a true Kigo, I shall leave for others to decide. Nevertheless, as a coastal dweller, Tideline conjures the rack of kelp and other detritus that litters the beach following the surge tide of a summer storm. Meanwhile, its hard consonants sharply divide line 1 from the soft vowels of lines 2 and 3, all of which serves the juxtaposition of images. And it's here, in the imagery, that this haiku truly excels. Read in isolation, lines 1 and 2 lead the reader to the ocean. Yet line 3 delivers an unexpected reveal that draws our attention away from the enormously obvious to the easily overlooked. Beach flies. Unlike their biting sandfly cousins, beach flies live in seaweed washed ashore by strong tides. Clustering in their thousands, they rise into the air when disturbed, before retreating back down again. It's a brilliant twist that not only centres the least expected, but also does so in a way that surprises the reader. In my view, an effective haiku does not reveal all of its secrets on the first reading, as is the case here. On the second read, one notices how these small creatures' movements mirror that of the waves. On the third, one sees how the human actor, present through implication only, plays the part of the moon in this performance. As the moon's presence directs the rise and fall of the tides, so the human in the haiku precipitates the rush and retreat of the flies. All in all, Amy's work embodies the qualities of great haiku: elegant, natural, and profound. It centres the unexpected, plays with perspective, yet leaves space for the reader's imagination. Yes, it is simple, but that simplicity is a virtue, hiding a deep complexity and a masterful skill in composition, vocabulary, and evocation.
And with that last nomination, the podcast is at an end. A big thank you to Clive, Melissa and Liam for giving up their time to read, comment and come along to the recording. And of course to all our poets, because without you, I'd just be sitting here talking to myself about beetles, which would be worrying for everyone involved, particularly my family. If you want to know how the judging panel settle things, you'll find the results in the next Poetry Pea Journal for 25. If you're already on the mailing list, you'll be the first to know when it's out. If you're not, well, you know what to do. Go on, don't be shy. Submissions are opening tomorrow, the 1st of October 2025, if you're listening in real time. This time, it's tanker time. Please check the guidelines before sending. It saves me having to play the role of the stern headmistress. And trust me, nobody wants to see that. And if you've enjoyed today's wander through the undergrowth, you can support us in all the usual ways. Share the podcast, grab a membership, or buy us a coffee. I promise to spend the money wisely. I really need a new microphone. So, thank you for listening, thank you for writing, and thank you just for being here with me. Until next time, keep your poems short, your imaginations wild, and of course, most importantly, keep writing. And I'll see you next week for more poetry. Ciao!